Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. Today, we're discussing some of the major announcements from CinemaCon, and we're going to go over that Avatar 2 trailer and how James Cameron blew our minds. All this and everything else that happened this and last week in Geek.
Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Hey, it's Nate, and if you're joining us for the first time, we are Geekcentric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things Geekcentric. Joining me for this week in Geek, he's Blue Dabba-Dee Dabba-Doo, and if you call him weird, he's gonna send his dragons after you. He's Justin Targaryen, first of his name, King of the Sandals. How's it going?
King of the Sandals. Kevin would probably be King of the Sandals. Yeah, he'd wear the Birkenstocks with the socks all the time. In the dead of winter, it'd be like, 15 centimeters of snow, and he would still be trekking in Birks and socks. So we keep
telling Kevin winter is coming, and he doesn't seem to be changing his footwear, I guess. Yeah. How's it going, Your Highness?
I'm good. I'm at the top there. You said Blue. I thought you were going to talk about his load and not just our minds being blow.
Well, we'll get to the James Cameron load of 3D-ness that we got pumped into our face before we saw Multiverse of Madness a little bit later on. But speaking of Kevin mentioned on the podcast he's got that kid on the way, and I was thinking back to when I was a little kid, and I wanted to start off with kind of a fun question, just to ask you, when you were a kid, can you tell me something bad that you did that you thought was like way worse than it actually was? Like, everyone's got that sort of moment. Have you ever, when you were a little kid, did you ever have that thing that you did where you took something or you did something that you're just like, you felt like it was the end of the world?
Well, I was in grade 1, and I remember my friend and I, we were at, it was winter, we were tobogganing at our elementary school.
Canada.
And in Canada, yes, of course. So there was a routine. You'd go down the hill, and then you would go across and go back so that you could go back up, right? But you had to stay far away out so that, kids wouldn't hit you. I had a straggler with me that was going on the tobogganing, and I cut through, but I dodged a kid, and that kid did not dodge.
Oh no!
He was behind me, and I literally turned around and watched him get like somersault in the air and smack his face on the ground. And I was like, oh, because he was following me. Right. And I felt bad because I realized that I was kind of like, not his keeper, but he was someone
he thought he had his back. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I made it because I was the one who convinced him, let's go tobogganing.
Oh no.
Yeah. So he was all banged up, and I thought I was going to get in so much trouble. Yeah. It was an accident, but I just felt bad because I convinced him. Yeah. And my teacher recognized that it's not your fault that it happened. Right. Right. You just have.
But you're like, I've ruined this man's career. He's done.
Exactly. He's never going to toboggan again. I haven't talked to him in obviously several.
He probably doesn't want to talk to you anymore after that, for sure.
I guess that would be it. That would be the story that I would consider as an example of what you were asking for. How about yourself?
For myself, I stole from the church when I was young.
Oh wow!
I was really little, and I think Sunday school had let out. I think earlier that day. Usually, my parents are pretty on top of picking me up on time, or my mom had to stay back in the office or something. She was working at the camp that this Sunday school was at, and so I'm sitting there in an empty Sunday school room, dude. And when I tell you, man, I could touch all the puppets that I wasn't allowed to touch. I could play with all the toys. Nobody was watching me. Nothing was happening. And there were just some little like farm animal toys or dinosaurs or something like that. And I just did the little kid thing where I just put them in my pocket. And I didn't even think about it. And I sort of knew what I was doing, but didn't know what I was doing. And we were driving home from the camp, and I still remember just breaking down, and just like my parents were like, what's wrong? And then I just pull these like little animals out of my hand. And of course they recognized them because they worked at the camp, like, so they knew that they weren't mine. And we had to drive, I think, like an hour back and I had to like, I'm sorry, and just apologize, and that was one of my lowest moments, I think.
Really wasn't that bad, but yeah, I guess it's is that mine was far worse. I might have impaled someone. He had a busted up lip.
Died.
I remember looking at him and he had a swollen ass lip, and I was like, damn,
dude,
that looks like it hurts. That could have been me, but
yeah,
it was you.
I would love if he's on imagine he's on some sort of podcast right now and he can barely talk, like he just has like a lisp or something because of it.
Or he's telling the story about this fucker.
Asshole tall
never
guy.
been able to toboggan again. Has some PSD.
That's it.
Man.
But yeah, I think we should jump into the news. We have a lot to go through to cover, even though there was barely any news this week.
Well, we're a week behind.
I wanted to. We're a week behind. We got to catch up on our homework, so we're gonna be talking about everything to do with CinemaCon. So let's get into the news.
It's all about the details.
All right, so we're gonna kind of go over not everything from CinemaCon. I've sort of picked a bunch of stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, from two articles from comicbookmovie.com and fandomwire.com are where these a lot of this stuff comes from. But I've kind of gone in and just sort of picked and chosen what I think would tickle our fancies here on the Geekcentric podcast. So CinemaCon happened. It's a convention they do every year to show off the latest and greatest things to critics. It would be really cool for us to go there one day. Maybe one day we'll head down to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's more of a convention though for the National Association of Theater Owners.
Sick.
This is where they get to see the cream of the crop for 2022 and decide if they want to show it in their theaters. While on Twitter there was a lot of people that were critics and that were very much reacting to the footage that they were seeing and first looks and sharing insight. This is really reserved for the idea of protecting the theater experience and theater owners seeing these movies to really understand what's coming and how many of the screens in the theaters that they own will this movie show on. So it's a lot of that. So these movies are here to really sell themselves, which is why we don't necessarily get to see all that footage. It is very much saved for them. But I totally agree. It would be great if one day we could venture out there and go.
Well, I know for a lot of big movies coming to the theater experience, Disney is at the top of our list for a lot of this stuff. Now, they apparently didn't show too much. Of course, they did do 20 minutes of early footage for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which you and Kevin actually got to go out and see. But then apparently they didn't show anything from Thor: Love and Thunder, which is interesting given how close that movie is. Just like I think there were some stills in a highlight reel. But they did show a brief glimpse of footage for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, including apparently a great shot of Nakia, Shuri, and Okoye on the front line of what looked like a major battle approaching. So, Justin, I wanted to kind of pick your brain here. That's got to be Namor's army, maybe, that they're going up against. Does this description, does this make you think, like, we've only gotten literally a moment from the CinemaCon. Do you think this movie comes out this year?
I still think it's going to be on track to come out this year. It has to be in its post-production already. It's just a matter of how far along it is and if there's any reshoots that need to be done. In regards to the pending battle, I don't know. It seemed to be pretty vague as to what it was referencing in terms of a battle, but I don't know. I think the bigger question mark for me is, when are they going to reveal, is Namor in this movie? At this point, it's just speculation and I guess the highest level of rumors that borderlines almost confirmation, but there isn't any confirmation from actual, like, from Marvel or Kevin Feige or anyone that's worked on the project. So there's still a high level of secrecy. So yeah, it's kind of the same thing with Thor: Love and Thunder, where it's like we haven't seen much. At least we got a teaser for that. But I totally get why you might be suspicious if these movies will actually hit theaters this year. So Black Panther still has some time. I think when Thor: Love and Thunder comes out, if we can see some of this footage, then that would be really great. Maybe we'll get a little bit more confirmation. I don't know. It's hard to say. What's great about CinemaCon is that, you know, there's stuff that's shown, but at the same time, it might not be completed stuff.
Right.
Like it might still be.
It could totally be a scene that doesn't even exist in the movie. But I just think the fact that it's got Shuri, Okoye, and Nakia kind of all in that same shot, where obviously it would have, if we saw a specific suit on any of them that represented the Black Panther specifically, that would have popped off. That would have been all over the internet. So I'm also wondering if the other aspect to this movie, and again, we're going based off of a moment here, so it's speculation city, but that's what we do.
It's just conversation, really. It's conversation.
but I'm thinking it would be really interesting to see if this movie even gives us a Black Panther, to see if this is a movie that maybe leads to that, but doesn't actually at any point in time confirm who amongst that group is the Black Panther, or if we ever get another Black Panther.
Yeah, I think it was recently Lupita Nyong'o went on the record saying that this is very much a movie about Chadwick or T'Challa, and that he's very centered to the story. So I'm with you. I think that this movie could be less about giving someone that title and more about celebrating T'Challa and the Black Panther that was.
Interesting. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the Marvels, apparently they swapped dates. So that was interesting to see. And Disney also screened the first 30 minutes of Lightyear, which, according to the description of people who saw it, was surprisingly more emotional than the trailers have suggested, and a considerably darker Pixar offering than the Toy Story films, which, Justin... you know me, I'm so excited to cry. I'm very excited about that. I feel like Pixar has a really great chance to still keep kids interested with socks, and you got to know Disney's going to merch the shit out of that. But I feel like this is a big opportunity to cater to adults as well who have grown up watching Toy Story, and I think that's totally fine, and I'm really looking forward to this.
It's going to the opposite end of the spectrum of Toy Story, and it has to. Because this is the film that defined Buzz Lightyear in the Toy Story universe. You know, that's what defines that toy, right? And in Andy's world is this movie. So it has to have its own merit and stand on its own and have callbacks that, you know, you've pointed out in the trailers and that many people online have pointed out that observe how it gives these loving callbacks to the Toy Story movie in its own way without directly associating itself with Toy Story. So I think that's how they're going to celebrate Toy Story in these small nuanced moments, but this whole story is going to feel so outside of what we know of Toy Story, and it's going to be so much fun. I'm this like one of the movies that I'm most excited for now, since especially Across the Spider-Verse got canceled. Lightyear has now moved to the top of my favorite animated movie that's coming out this year. So I'm excited to see it. I'm surprised that they showed them 30 minutes though.
Well, I think 30 minutes sounds like that's the mark where it's about to pop off. So I could see them
it's the first
stopping it. Yeah, stopping it right at the moment where something big is revealed, and that's going to be a big enough tease to get these people, you know, get butts and seats.
Then this movie would have to be what? I guess 2 hours?
I think so. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Which is fine, I guess. Like,
yeah, it'll be like an hour 55 or something.
Yeah. Which I think works.
Two things. Number one, we got to get a Woody movie after this. There's got to be an old Western. I think was it you or Kevin that was saying a Woody movie after this would be epic.
I said that, but then I also thought about it too, because I think the idea around Woody was that he was a puppet, like his show.
That's true.
His show based on? He's kind of already an iteration of it. So I don't know if it necessarily would work. It's almost as if though you'd have to do something where it is like a spin-off, you know,
right?
What I mean? Where it's like,
maybe it's the character that the Woody doll and show was based off of, right?
Exactly.
Like maybe that's where that comes from. But I have a theory. Okay, hear my theory out. The last final shots of Lightyear are going to be the very last moment that we see he's done something incredible or whatever, or he's being celebrated, or he's made it just back in time, and then the camera sort of goes through a screen and starts backing out, and we just see an older version, the back of Andy's head, and Andy's like son or daughter, just like head on shoulder sort of thing, like watching this movie
like
together.
She's watching this,
right?
And really, this whole thing was a ploy for Toy Story 5. Oh
I'm just saying, man. I think that would be a really beautiful ending. He's sharing with her or with him, whoever he's got, his little kid, and with his family, he's sharing that movie that got him so hyped when he was younger. But
do you think we'll find out? We'll get the reveal of Zurg being Lightyear's father
in this movie? I think that was very much that was a joke for Toy Story. I don't actually think they're going to go that route. That would be really crazy if they did. But continuing on here, 20th Century. I keep reading that as 20th Century Fox. It's not. 20th Century and David O. Russell have announced his next all-star film titled Amsterdam. The movie's cast includes Christian Bale, John David Washington, Margot Robbie, Rami Malek, Zoe Saldana, Chris Rock, Mike Myers, Anna Taylor-Joy, Timothy Olyphant, and Taylor Swift, among others. So star-studded. The movie received its first image and trailer at the event and is set in a similar background as American Hustle. Also, the release date for it now is November 4th. Apparently, it's like a murder mystery set in the 1930s. Did you see any of this?
I saw the still, but I David O. Russell is one of those prolific filmmakers where it's like everyone's always clamoring for what's the next project that he's going to do. And David O. Russell has done some great movies, but it's no surprise that he's doing a film with a star-studded cast, as you pointed out, based on that list, and something that feels very familiar to a time period. I think that's where his work really thrives. He really leans into like the period piece aesthetic of telling his stories, and murder mystery is interesting too, just given the fact that, again, even another prolific director is Rian Johnson, and the fact that he's doing Knives Out 2, which is also supposed to be coming out this year. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a murder mystery face-off at the Oscars next year.
Because this does seem, with a cast like that, this 100%. Does seem like an Oscar bait movie for sure. They also showed off the trailer for Avatar: The Way of Water, but we'll get to that later. Warner Bros. Apparently didn't waste any time getting right to the point, brought out director Matt Reeves to announce a sequel to their biggest film of the past 3 years, The Batman, with Robert Pattinson set to return along with Zoe Kravitz, who will be reprising her role in the sequel movie. So we're getting Catwoman back. Reeves didn't stay for long, but did say hello, and he confirmed he's already hard at work on the script. Now, Justin, I seem to remember Matt Reeves saying in an interview that he designed The Batman to be a standalone movie, but clearly that was never the case, right?
No, I know. I think that was the case. I just think that the idea is that he knew that this movie, the first movie, had to set up and do certain things without the built-in need to establish that there's going to be a sequel. It needed to stand on its own. So if he doesn't do the sequel, it's its own movie. And I think whether they decide to do a sequel to The Batman or not, which they clearly are going to do, it would stand on its own. I think he achieved that 100%. That being said, it doesn't mean as a director and as a filmmaker, if you know, well, this is gonna hit, people are gonna love this movie, that you don't have ideas. The fact that he, said, I'd love to do a Mr. Freeze. He has a way to make that plausible. I think that shows the ingenuity in him already thinking about what he might want to do as another standalone movie, because it's so built into these superhero movies that you need to establish more and build more of the universe, if you will. And I think he gave us those nuances of it to help establish other projects that we're going to see, like the HBO Max series that's going to explore Arkham and Gotham. So this movie helps to at least seed plant for that world without having to necessarily hint at it. So I think it's fair to say that he's going to have ideas, but he hasn't pre-built them in to his existing movie. So I think it's a fair assessment.
As a cinematic universe, at least it feels like he's going the direction of maintaining his own cinematic universe, right? His own absolutely. The Batman cinematic universe, as opposed to
Nolan-esque.
the DCEU.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll see if he gets past a second movie into a third, and into all these other series and what have you. I'm very interested. Speaking of a part 2, Dune Part 2 is in pre-production. We'll start filming later this year. Denis Villeneuve confirms this one will be screened exclusively in theaters, and we'll also get an IMAX release. So, I mean, stoked for more Dune. I heard a rumor recently that Florence Pugh was going to be in it.
Yes.
And I'm super stoked about that.
I think that was actually confirmed.
Was
she's
it?
She's playing a queen level royalty, and it totally works.
She's a queen in my eyes.
I know she's a queen in a lot of people's eyes. I hope that this movie, though, Dune 2, I'm hoping really leans into the IMAX, like less like kind of go the Nolan route where it's like you try to shoot almost a majority of it in IMAX. Like, I'm just waiting for a movie that's entirely IMAX. I get the idea; it's expensive. It's a lot of prep. It's a lot of production. But like, it's crazy when you're watching some of these movies in that screen, and you go from this complete immersive experience into like suddenly these cropped borders. It does feel very jarring when the screen is so pronounced. It really does stand out. And I remember from Dune, like, I love the IMAX shots, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it was weird that it would be interspliced with these alternative cropped shots, suddenly just take you out of the immersion and snap you into a border and then snap you back out. You know, all this to say the fact that Dune did so well, give the guy as much money as you can to make Dune 2 because it'll hit, and make it just film it all in IMAX.
Just do the whole thing.
Do the whole thing in IMAX.
I want to see people riding sandworms. You know, I want to see that final sequence that we see in part 1. That battle looked absolutely phenomenal. So I'm really stoked for it. There was no mention of the future of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, and according to the article, things got awkward when only one attendee cheered at the mention of Secrets of Dumbledore. Which, that's upsetting. Imagine just being in that room, just that one guy, just yeah. Greta Gerwig's Barbie movie shared a stunning first look at Margot Robbie in character. Justin, you see the shot of her as Barbie?
It looks like Margot Robbie in a retro Barbie convertible car. I'm so intrigued with this movie because of the insane cast that is attached to star in it, and I think it's opening the same day as Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer.
Oh, really? Wow.
And Oppenheimer has a huge cast, like has a massive cast. Yeah. And there will only be those who decide to go see Barbie on opening day and those who decide to go see Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer.
I'll be in line for Barbie, dude.
I like Greta Gerwig. Gerwig. I want to see Nolan's film, obviously, but I feel like that I might try to see them both on the same day just to say I did it.
What a double feature. Now, The Flash received an extended sizzle reel and was probably the highlight of the WB presentation, according to the writer of this article. It had unfinished VFX, but we got a peek at Barry Allen going back in time, an alternate Barry with longer hair, a look at Bruce's 7 bat suits, a wild action chase sequence with Barry and Batman on a bat cycle, which sounds freaking cool. First looks at Zod, Supergirl, and finally Matt Keaton as Batman again. And he closes by saying his classic line, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." The Flash should be the crown jewel of WB's DC lineup, but due to Miller's personal issues, it felt like they were trying to apparently get through the segment as quickly as possible before moving on to the next film. It was the only DC film they didn't seem to make an extra effort for, nor did it present its footage with the other DC titles. So kind of interesting that they're... Like, it seems like WB, at least in this presentation, is trying to distance itself from this movie. Like, does that mean like the Flash? Like, this is it? This is after this movie? That's it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty awkward situation.
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say that this could potentially be it for Ezra Miller as Flash, and whatever they do after, they can help kind of explain through some sort of multiversal. Yeah.
But it's just a matter of, like, I think a lot of these production companies are seeing, like, oh, multiverses, perfect. There's our solution for anything and everything.
Well, for sure. I think it just works for the Flash because they're going to establish that in this Flash movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, if anything, it's the perfect character for that to happen to. But hopefully this movie's good based on the footage. It sounds like it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm excited to see what it's all about.
Yeah, dude. Again, like I really enjoy. Again, Ezra Miller as the Flash, I think is fantastic. Was great in Justice League, and yeah, I'm intrigued to see what they end up doing. Apparently, The Rock, and this is in quotes of the article, rope-a-doped. That's the word that this writer used, rope-a-doped us, by apparently appearing in what appeared to be a video message from Hawaii. And then he said, fuck that. And apparently it was revealed to be a live feed. And then he showed up on stage to massive applause and presented the first trailer for Black Adam and an extended look at DC League of Super Pets, which obviously DC League of Super Pet looks awesome, but Black Adam apparently was super impressive. Noah Centineo, Quintessa Swindell joined him on stage to present the first look, which opens in a snowy mountain. Apparently they saw how Black Adam is found in present day, and it spends some time on his origin story as a slave before cutting back and forth between past and present action set pieces. Sarah Sahi is his first encounter. We meet the JSA, including Hawkman, Atom Smasher, and Cyclone. How nuts would that be, though, right? Like, you're watching this, like, pre-recorded message of The Rock, and then he just starts addressing you directly and then walks out on stage.
The man is all about flair, and of course he's just gonna do like a rope-a-dope sort of style entry and just show up.
So cool.
But I just want to see this goddamn footage.
Yeah.
Like, the thing about all of the stuff that was shown there, like 100%, I understand why. Like, I understand why they're showing all this footage there. Again, it's to get these theaters to invest and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get most of my theaters to show this movie. But it's like, when do we get to see it? When do we, the people that you know are going to be the ones whose asses are going to be in those theaters, when are we going to see it? Because honestly, it's we haven't seen anything for Black Adam. They have pushed it. I know it's coming towards the end of the year now.
Yeah.
I think Super Pets and Black Adam switched, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. So I just want to see something, because it sounds like he really loves this character and he's been so committed to tell this story and make this movie. Let's see it. I want to get into it.
And honestly, if there's anyone that's going to make like that part of the DCEU exciting for me and interesting, it's The Rock. So I'm super stoked.
Yeah, exactly.
To see that. Continuing on here, Paramount, they kept their presentation short and sweet because, and I'm super jealous, they premiered a screening of Top Gun Maverick, which everyone got to see, and apparently popped off, and it's a really good movie. But they did do a sizzle reel which featured footage from Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, which is kind of cool that they're doing a Dungeons and Dragons movie. But Justin, I am most amped about the fact that apparently they showed, I think it was like just stills of Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Justin, Beast Wars live action movie. I'm so stoked for this. Did you ever watch Beast Wars growing up?
Oh yeah.
Terrible CGI.
It was okay. It was more reboot level, right? Like, it was definitely I think it was the same studio that did Reboot,
probably,
here on YTV in Canada. So, you know, I think they did Beast Wars as well. And yeah, there was two names too. I think in the US it was Beast Wars, and then here it was like Beasties or something like that. It was like, had two different names.
It might have been like the French version was Beasties or something. Yeah.
Beasties.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally grew up with Beast Wars. I was tuned in every week.
Yeah.
You know, the end of the first season, the introduction of Unicron, and just understanding what Earth was, and even just getting through that entire series, and inevitably them getting back to Cybertron, and then what that looked like. Did you ever watch that show after when they got back?
Absolutely. Beast Wars was what got me into Transformers. I actually didn't know anything about Transformers. My first Optimus Prime was Optimus Primal, and so like Cheetor, Rat Trap, like Rhinox. I remember having all the action figures. The Rat
I still
Trap
have my Rhinox.
Dude, they're so good. The Rat Trap action figure was a spring loaded. You pull his tail and then he just pops into his robot form, and just them going up against the Dinobots every single week was just amazing, dude.
My friend had Megatron, so the big purple dinosaur, which was awesome, with the
spinning tail.
Yes, with the spinning tail, and then he also had Dinobot. What a generic ass name for it. Raptor would have been probably a better name, but anyways, yeah, Dinobot.
I thought they were all Dinobots, but I guess they're Predacons. Yeah. I got to go back and rewatch some of this stuff. Maybe I'll just wait for the movie.
Yeah, I think you could wait for the movie. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with this story, especially translating it into live action. Just because I remember the standout thing about the animated series is that there was no humans on Earth. Like, Earth was desolate and there was just no one there.
That's kind of what I want for this movie, though. And I know that's not going to be what we get. Like, I know they have to have faces and actors and stuff like that to sell the movie. But I kind of I don't know, man. I would love if it was just all robots, dude. I would watch the crap.
Aren't they supposed to be doing a series, though? I think that they're also, like, Paramount Plus is doing a series that's supposed to
really
sort of tie in,
like on Cybertron kind of idea.
Yeah, or on Earth, maybe with the Beast Wars.
Interesting.
Don't quote me on that, anyone, but the internet would tell you if I'm right or wrong. If Transformers is done better than what Michael Bay did, because I don't know, the movie Bumblebee with Haley Steinfeld is the perfect Transformers movie.
I still haven't seen it. I gotta watch it.
Dude.
Yeah. Better than Transformers 1.
It's better than Transformers 1.
Whoa.
I still love Transformers 1.
Yeah.
I still love Transformers 1,
okay.
But it's better than that. It has a lot more heart than you would have expected. I was pleasantly surprised. So it just shows that if Michael Bay's not involved, it might be a good movie, so
we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if he is attached, but we also got logos for A Quiet Place Day One. Is the name of the prequel movie that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, we were talking about this, I think.
Were you
offline?
Okay, yeah, I'm intrigued to see if it's like, because I feel like we already saw Day One a little bit, and now we're seeing it again. But they also did a logo, which I wish was put out online, but we didn't see it. Seth Rogen's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot, dude. Do you know anything about this? I haven't seen anything about this yet.
I saw some artwork that was posted online of what it was going to look like, and it's more concept artwork.
It is animated from Nickelodeon.
So the concept art is really cool, and it does kind of harken to previous iterations of the characters. I think more recently, seeing Seth Rogen take on this project is kind of like seeing Andy Samberg in them with the Lonely Island crew, like taking on Chip and Dale. Like, I feel like that's kind of the same thing as Seth Rogen taking on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's gonna have that relatability for kids and younger audiences, but I think it's gonna speak also to the generation of people that grew up with that, and it'll be enjoyable for them as well. So I'm very excited for it, because I think that's the craft of when you take on a property or an IP like this, is being able to have your toe in both sides so that you can really bring the audience in, and not necessarily misbalancing it so that it's speaking to one audience and not the other. You have to embrace both. And I feel like, again, we haven't seen Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers yet, but even just from the first trailers and stuff like that we have seen, it does feel like it's going to very much do that. The Seth Rogen Ninja Turtles project will do that as well. I'm more interested in whatever live action Ninja Turtles they plan to do down the road. I am happy that Seth Rogen is doing something with the IP, but I'm more interested in if they do a live action, because there's been some talks that they might do something, but I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. I'm very intrigued. I think Seth Rogen is the right choice, especially on the animated side. It's going to be so much fun. Tom Cruise sadly could not attend, but did send an insane introduction with him sitting atop a biplane in the process of filming the latest installment in the Mission Impossible franchise. He introduced the official trailer for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and then continued filming. That's a sick name. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, and the fact that they're splitting up into Part 1, Part 2. I mean, it does feel like it's taking way too long to get the entirety of the story at this point, but...
For sure. But they've had so much setbacks with the pandemic, and they've been pretty... I think it's been splattered all across the media news that they've had a lot of problems with it, and just them getting up. And apparently, as Simon Pegg had called out, like that movie built the manual for how to manage a production during the pandemic, because they were amidst it, and That's the one thing about Tom Cruise. He is so committed, not just to this craft of acting, but also just to the practice of movie making, wanting to just make sure that it's the best in theater cinematic experience. This is so fitting that he would be shooting a scene while also introducing this, just to kind of build up that hype, because he knows that the people that are there are going to be investing in his movie and showcasing it in their theater. So it has to hit. So he's a fantastic salesman. Do you know what I mean? Like when it comes to his
he's
movies?
literally introducing the trailer while still working on the movie. Like that's why he couldn't even attend.
Yeah, we're just doing pickup shots of me jumping out.
Yeah, he's like flying off the plane as he's doing the video. Yeah, you gotta love him. I'm super stoked, and I just think Dead Reckoning sounds really incredible.
Dead Reckoning. Oh yeah, Dead Reckoning is. It almost borderlines the James Bond titles. It's going to be interesting to see how, it's being part one. They are obviously very committed to this story and need to tell it in 2 parts. So
I'm stoked. And lastly, Sony showed off footage from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and renamed Part 2 to Beyond the Spider-Verse. Unfortunately, they confirmed Venom 3. And then the most unexpected thing to come out of CinemaCon, Sony announced El Muerto is set to hit theaters on January 12th, 2024, starring Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, better known by his stage name as Bad Bunny. Justin, what's wrong with Sony? Like, why Bad Bunny is going to be who's El Muerto, and why what are they doing? I don't understand.
Well, maybe I don't really get it either. I think what they are trying to do is really do a deep dive into the IP that is Spider-Man that they own, and really pull out things that are they haven't been explored in terms of the comic book genre, if you will. Right. I think that's what Morbius was very much, was sort of an experiment of taking a character that does have a very niche fan basis and trying to draw that out by putting an actor as Jared Leto as the role of Morbius. I think the disconnect here is digging into your IP, but not having any sort of sense of where you're going with it. It's really about that cohesiveness. And I think if you're either one or the other, you're either very obvious in what you're trying to do, in what you're trying to build, like the MCU, or maybe you're just a little bit more singular, like what they're trying to do now in DC with these sort of more character-focused stories rather than trying to create a big intertwine. I think they're going to lean more in that. I just feel like Sony is trying a lot more, because I haven't seen Morbius, but the one thing that a lot of people said is that the end credit stingers that usually hint at what's going to happen next or where they're going or this bigger world, if you will, it just feels confusing. It feels very confusing as to what they're trying to establish, and that might be a problem as Sony moves further into trying to, I don't know, build out the Spider-Man universe as its own Sony IP.
I'm hoping Bad Bunny surprises the crap out of everyone and just becomes like,
I hope so. I think it would be great.
Yeah.
Well, that's my thing. Like it we don't know enough about the project other than its very obscure character, and
it seems like stunt casting at this point.
It does. Yeah. It seems like stunt casting. It's a stunt casted role for sure. So I guess we just have to wait and see with that one too.
Yeah. Well, that is our recap of CinemaCon 2020 and all the things that I was able to pick out and thought might be interesting. But Justin, listen, I've got a banjo. I don't quite know how to play it, so instead I'll just FaceTime Kevin real quick. Kevin, can you play the banjo for us?
It's trailer time.
All right, our first trailer we've actually been wanting to talk about for quite some time now, and it's actually funny. Today, it launched online. We managed to get a chance to see it a million times before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. The schedule kind of changed up, and Justin, you were like, "We got to get there a little earlier," and I didn't quite know what to expect, but. We got to see the trailer for Avatar: The Way of Water in 3D, just as our Lord and Savior James Cameron deemed
intended.
Intended. This is directed by James Cameron. It is set more than a decade after the events of the first film, Avatar: The Way of Water, begins to tell the story of the Sully family the trouble that follows them, the lengths they go to keep each other safe, the battles they fight to stay alive, and the tragedies they endure. This is starring Zoe Saldana, Sam Worthington, Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang, Edie Falco, Jermaine Clement, which I'm stoked about, Brendan Cowell, Jack Champion, Trinity Bliss, Bailey Bass, and Philippe Galijo. This is coming exclusively to theaters this December 16th, 2022. Justin, what did you think of the Avatar: The Way of Water trailer?
It is so blue, man.
A lot of blue.
And I know that's like the running joke, but like it is incredibly blue. Like everything just feels like it's just painted with blue. It's clear that the film is going to continue the themes of the first movie by rooting the conflict in a struggle that is very much right and wrong, which will mirror like the sort of past historical events that we've witnessed in our own real life. I definitely think it's going to draw on some truths there, if you will. You know, it's going to have that moral lesson that, you know, what it means to have your family and be a part of a tribe and the lengths of what you're going to go through. I'm just wondering what this conflict's going to look like. You know, it seems like it's being instigated by both humans and the Na'vi. Is that proper pronunciation?
Yeah.
And I think actually, Nate, you were saying that the night that we saw the trailer, it could be very much that, a conflict where the humans are working with the Na'vi, which could be Sam Worthington's character or Zoe Saldana's character, and they're working with a tribe on another planet, this water-based planet, but they're resistant to that help, or they don't want to take part because they don't trust the humans. And, you know, maybe there is another political layer to this where humans are trying to exploit and benefit from this, what looks like on the surface a co-collaboration between humans and the Na'vi, but it's actually impacting on other relationships, and it's really being used as a decoy for something else. But I don't know, the trailer was nuts in 3D. Like, you got to see this movie in 3D. And, you know, Matt Rohrbrecht from the Untitled Movie Podcast, like, I just keep referencing his tweet. It's just like, James Cameron is going to make 3D a
thing again.
And it's absolutely true, and it's so fucking annoying. But based on what we saw in theaters, it's going to be worth it, and it's going to be good. So it's definitely something to see in that format. I just hope that movies don't try to catch on to this and be like, oh, let's start doing everything in 3D. No, just let 3D be James Cameron's thing. Yeah. I'm okay with that. I don't think that there's enough reasoning there to suddenly start doing everything in 3D, because it's annoying. If it's animated, I can appreciate it and enjoy a 3D movie. And again, this is very much that. It is
very much an animated movie. The CG looks like it's, I mean, obviously it's been over a decade that we've been waiting for this. It looks so much improved. When we see Neytiri, come on screen and you just see her eyes, it's stunning. The particle effects that float out into the audience are really cool with the 3D. And I don't think it'll be interesting to see if the 3D has necessarily really improved. It kind of just brought me back, but that first experience in the theater watching Avatar was so incredible, and it
was immersive. It was incredible.
Absolutely.
That was,
and the music,
it was captivating.
The music in this was fantastic. I kind of like, we got to see the trailer. It played over and over again within a 30-minute chunk, and so like for one of the times I was watching the trailer, I just closed my eyes and listened to it, and it brought me back to the world of Pandora at Disney. It's absolutely stunning. That I think it is going to be very much like you described, Justin. Like, it will be. I feel like the first movie didn't have enough on the bad characters side for us to feel that sort of conflict as much. So I'd be really intrigued to see if they do have, Na'vi on both sides of this conflict, where we get to actually sort of feel like, oh no, I don't, again, like a more dynamic, like fight where you don't want either side to necessarily win over the other.
Win or lose.
And I also think it's going to be a big focus on family, but also like found family. I think that they...
Like adoption.
They've got, like, they have a kid, right? And one of them, I think they have two kids. Like, one of them looks like a Na'vi kid, and then another one looks like a human boy. So like I don't quite know how all of that works, and I'm sure they'll have to explain it in some way. But yeah, man, this movie I think it'll actually be good. I actually really think it might be too big to be less than an 8. Like I think Disney's gonna pull out all the stops to ensure that this really does the trick. As to whether or not, like I was on the website earlier today, and it's like Avatar 3, 4, 5, and it's just like, okay, well, pump the brakes a little bit. But yeah, man, this trailer was pretty great, and I encourage, if you have the opportunity to go see it in 3D in the theaters, absolutely do.
And here's the thing, though. Right now, there's not that many movies that are showing in 3D other than Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is being shown in 3D
because of this trailer.
Yeah, because of this trailer. Strictly because of this trailer. However, I went to AVX screening here in Canada, in Toronto, and it was not 3D, and I got the trailer. So for us, and for those who might go see the movie in 3D, you're going to be experiencing this trailer the way you're going to experience the movie.
Yeah.
But just know, when the movie comes around, if you don't see this trailer in 3D, it's going to be immersive again. Like the way the depth in the layering in the 3D,
even the blocking, the way they use the blocking with the characters, where
foregrounds,
you kind of,
exactly,
dude,
foreground, background,
really well
and midground elements, like everything. There's just such a great sense of cinematic depth that you can feel through it, that feels so natural and real, and just how things come into focus. So yeah, I love her. I wasn't a huge fan of the first Avatar, but I'm definitely interested in seeing what this is all about.
I'm stoked, man. I had books. I had like extra books because I was a little younger when the first Avatar came out, and I had like literal like lore books on all the different flora and fauna, and dude, absolutely, I'm back in. I'm so stoked.
Fauna.
Yeah, dude. Oh
naughty,
yeah.
naughty.
Well, speaking of naughty, let's talk about the trailer for Don't Worry, Darling. This is directed by Olivia Wilde, a 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community begins to worry that his glamorous company may be hiding disturbing secrets. This is starring Florence Pugh, Olivia Wilde, Harry Styles, Chris Pine, Gemma Chan, Nick Kroll, Douglas Smith, Dita Von Teese, and Kiki Lane. This is going to be coming exclusively in theaters on September 23rd. Dude, this trailer started off and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be into this. What is this? Is it like going to be like a Desperate Housewives situation? What's going on? And then it slowly creeps into something that really worked for me. I'm really looking forward to this. This looks really good.
Yeah, I was getting some serious Get Out vibes. There's a hidden truth that everyone is either ignoring or hiding, or just trying not to necessarily speak of. Even for yourself, probably you remember this from when you were younger, though, too, is the Truman Show.
I was going to say the Truman Show. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, the idea of something bigger is afoot, if you will. And, outside of this bubble and outside of this sort of 60s life nostalgia, there's something that's not being necessarily revealed. So I like how this trailer plays with sort of the conventions and then gears, and as you described, into the weird, and really establishing that those sort of terror vibes, if you will, or paranoia vibes.
And I feel like the movie's going to be paced that way as well.
100%. It's gonna be a bit of a sort of a slow burn. Also, I think just the idea of dressing the story in the aesthetic of 1960 styles feels purposeful, as almost like a call to the sort of naive nature of the time. Mm-hmm. So, like the idea of just kind of staying in your bubble, if you will, and just the idea that there's a bubble at play. And it looks really good. I'm excited for Olivia Wilde. I think she's a talented actress, and she's proving herself to be very talented as a filmmaker. I believe this was the movie that she was on stage representing at CinemaCon when she was served her divorce papers.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, which was bad timing. It's the most
But she handled it.
Ted Lasso thing to do.
She handled it like a professional, though, right?
Yeah, because it is what it is. It is what it is, right? So, but that being said, this movie does look really interesting, especially for her to be doing this, right? Like I think not to put any sort of tropes or preconceived projections of the kind of movies that Olivia Wilde should be doing, but I could see her doing more comedy based stuff. But this looks weird with that comedy. Again, it feels very Get Out, more so than anything else. So I'm excited to see it.
I mean, Nick Kroll's in the movie, so you got to imagine there's going to be some element of comedy. I think,
and she's funny, man. She's hilarious.
Oh, Olivia Wilde is also absolutely funny. Visually stunning 1950s, like the contrast in colors, definitely Truman Show vibes. I also got a lot of Severance vibes as well. Especially with Chris Pine's character Frank, which also Chris Pine as a villain I think is going to be so fun. I think it's always great when you've got charming villains. You know what I mean? It almost makes them scarier when you're like, I kind of like this guy. Why is he so nice? And then you get that turn. I love a good mystery sandbox. I think this is going to be one of those movies that you're going to want to watch more than one time, because there's going to be a lot of probably hidden foreshadowing that you go
like
back
Lost.
and you rewatch, like Lost. I know I was trying not to mention it, but you got me. I think Harry Styles being in there is super dope. I love, as I've already mentioned a million times, Florence Pugh. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And one thing about Harry Styles is kind of interesting. Ahead of filming, Olivia Wilde actually fired Shia LaBeouf and replaced him with Harry Styles, because apparently LaBeouf was displaying some poor behavior during pre-production, and there was a lot of clashing with the cast and crew, and which honestly, like, shout out to LaBeouf. I'm sure he would have been great in the movie, but Harry Styles being in this, I think, is going to be dope. I'm excited to see him in a serious role again after Dunkirk, and just to see what he can pull off and play off of. Florence Pugh, I think, is going to be really, really dope.
Yeah, Florence Pugh looks like she's really flexing some acting muscles.
Yeah, man.
She's really coming into her own. Very similar to someone like a Scarlett Johansson, where she can prove physical and tactile in a movie that is like Black Widow, but then she can really dial in the emotional acting level that is required in something like Midsommar or Don't Worry, Darling. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just these different levels of acting that she's bringing. That just, I don't know. She's so talented. I can't wait for when we see her win an Oscar. It'll be awesome.
Maybe for this movie. Who knows?
We'll see. It could be for this movie.
Yeah. And our final trailer, because I know we're going a little long here, but I gotta bring it up, dude. We're huge Game of Thrones fans here at Geekcentric. The trailer for House of the Dragon. This is directed by Miguel Sapochnik, who directed fan-favorite episodes of Game of Thrones like Hardhome and Battle of the Bastards. He's going to be the showrunner for this, as well as Ryan Condell. This is a prequel series that finds the Targaryen dynasty at the absolute apex of its power, with more than 15 dragons under their yoke. Most empires, real and imagined, crumble from such heights. In the case of the Targaryens, their slow fall begins almost 193 years before the events of Game of Thrones, when King Viserys Targaryen breaks with a century of tradition by naming his daughter Rhaenyra heir to the Iron Throne. But when Viserys later fathers a son, the court is shocked when Rhaenyra retains her status as his heir, and seeds of division sow friction across the realm. It's kind of tough to... Who wrote that? Starring Paddy Considine, Olivia Cook, Emma D'Arcy, Matt Smith, Steve Toussaint, Eve Best, Bethany Antonia, Will Johnson, and Rhys Evans, as well as a ton of other talented people that I just don't have time to list. This is going to be coming out actually 10 days before my birthday, so happy birthday to me, on August 21st.
Nice.
Dude, what did you think of this prequel series trailer?
Yo, this trailer slaps, man. Like, it makes me want to go back and rewatch the entire series again. And I feel like it's going to have a lot more of that Game of Thrones lore that was always talked about in the original series, but we never obviously got to see. Kevin's favorite, the prequels. And it really highlights the idea of legacy and status being tied to the name of Targaryen and being tied to the names, because even when we heard the names, we heard Baratheon, we heard Starks, we heard Targaryens. It really is about how the names have defined a legacy that we would be so familiar with in the Game of Thrones series, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that there's such an attention to this idea, and I just love that the last line is
a history does not remember blood, it remembers names.
Exactly, and just But the thing is that's so interesting is that in the Game of Thrones series, it actually ended up being about blood. It's interesting how some of the themes of what you've described in the synopsis are kind of re-emerging themselves in this story 193 years ago, before we saw Daenerys and Jon Snow, as the rightful heirs of the Targaryen, of the Iron Throne as Targaryens. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see this. It looks like it's going to be tons of fun. It'll just be interesting to see if it can stick to landing. Right. Because this is the first spin-off. This is the first spin-off after the series.
Of two, and I think one got canned and then this one made it through. But I do think, like blood and names are going to be the two clashing themes throughout the entire show. And I think it kind of, visually it looked a lot like, similar to how like the Star Wars prequel movies looked, kind of a little shinier than the original series, right? Obviously, it takes place earlier. But I kind of like that because it resembles the kind of sort of how like stories would get embellished throughout the ages, right? And so like if you watch this trailer, the throne looks bigger, right? It looks scarier, and like things I think are going to look a little more magical, and I think that's purposeful to give you that idea that like, oh yeah, people talk this stuff up throughout the ages. The budget still looks really high, but it's something about how the visual of it. It'll be interesting to see if it's just in this trailer, but yeah.
Yeah, there seemed to be a lot more shine to it. I think there was more armor that was depicted. It definitely doesn't look as dark and dreary, right? As the time. And I get what you mean by
less blue tones, more orange tones, yellow tones.
Yeah, more orange tones, more shiny as well. Like there's just more of that, to your point, to the example that you were referencing, just the idea that this is something that has been talked about for the ages. It was a time when things were probably better than where we would have found our story.
Yeah, maybe
Game of Thrones.
It'll be interesting. It seems like it'll be really interesting to see how much they cover in one season, or if they're going to do more than one season. I like that it focuses on Rhaenyra Targaryen. I think Matt Smith is super exciting to have Matt Smith in a Game of Thrones show, but I think it's either going to have flashbacks or it's going to jump between times, because in the trailer you do see both a younger version and an older version of both Rhaenyra and then another character named Alicent Hightower. So I think they are going to be doing some stuff with time, because even in the IMDb it shows like younger versions of some of these characters. So I think it'll be really intriguing. Obviously there's going to be some family fighting, I think, between Matt Smith's character and then Emma D'Arcy's character, which makes sense because Targaryens never get along, as we've witnessed in Game of Thrones. But I think what's going to be for sure is there's going to be a ton of names that I'm not going to be able to remember, that you're going to screw up, Justin, as we talk about it in a future Whatcha. And there's going to probably be some semblance of incest. I think you got it right. You have to.
Well, I would imagine that maybe. I would imagine if there's siblings, there's probably some fornicating.
I'm sure
amongst them, because you got to keep that bloodline strong. So
apparently, But this looks really dope, man. I'm stoked for this.
I'm excited to get back into the Game of Thrones. That's for sure. Man. Like into that sort of those stories. So, I might rewatch them and put myself through the 7 seasons again.
There you go. All right, well, that is it for trailer time, and we're pretty much wrapped up here. I know we went a little bit longer than we usually do for This Week in Geek, but Justin, before we wrap it up, I got to ask, what you been watching, what you been reading, what you been playing, what you been watching?
Well, I recently checked out a movie that was released in theaters and now has found its way to the digital renting platform, and that was Michael Bay's Ambulance, an action movie from earlier this year. And
would you recommend
just
it?
For a little, well, just for a little context here, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this director. All of his movies don't necessarily hit for me. I think he's a bit misbalanced You know, there's a lot of great action sequences and things look really, really great, but it may lack story. You know, we referenced Transformers, the Transformers series. If of all the movies that he has done, the first one is the best one and should just end there.
That's it,
in my opinion. And that was it. Everything else after that loses perspective. And I liked his earlier films like The Rock and Bad Boys. Even Bad Boys 2 was fun action stupidity for the sake of it. It didn't take itself too seriously. It leaned into the sort of the upgrades that Michael Bay has learned from his filmmaking and how to kind of implement action and story. Armageddon's okay as well, I guess, but I don't know. I just feel like he has always been a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to it, and this movie was very much that. You have outstanding performances from Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul, and I feel like apart from that, that's all this movie has going for it, because it does look cool, don't get me wrong, but there is no amount of action or drone, crazy ass FPV drone shots, or these quick, chaotic, like the movie just felt like you had drinking like 60 energy drinks and were just jacked the entire time while you sat there just like just going nuts. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's such a bloated, elongated, simple story that lacks a real sense of continuity. Like, it's crazy to think about just how Michael Bay shoots. He's very sporadic. He's very crazy. He just like, let's get as many shots as we can. Okay, let's put a camera over there and let's shoot again. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, I want you to go faster. Like, this guy is very passionate about the way he makes these movies. And I think he just needs to reel himself in. You know, we just talked about Doctor Strange and how, Sam Raimi has a lot of himself in there. Maybe reel a little bit of that back. Yeah. And there's a little bit more of a control that allows for like a producer and an editor and, other people that are helping to make this project to really be the soundboard that can say, yeah, that's really good. Maybe we should actually maybe trim this part down, but this is really good. Like, get the story, get it where it is, and not feel like they're stepping on toes. Because I feel like a lot of the times with the products that we get, it's because there's a level of control from the director and nobody really wants to step on toes. They're like, yeah,
you do you.
Just do it, man. Yeah. You do you, man. You've done this for X amount of years. You're everyone loves you. Everyone knows what you're going to put asses in the seats. Just do you. But like, there could be a simple like, can we cut this scene down a little bit? Do we need this line? Why is this shot here? Can we reduce that? I don't know. I feel like from simple revisions and simple cutbacks, these movies could be better. And in the end, this movie just lacked a cohesive story and a cohesive vision.
It sounds like, I mean, I looked up the runtime. Runtime is 2 hours and 16 minutes, which I enjoy a roller coaster, but a 2 hour and 16-minute roller coaster is what this sounds like. And it sounds like it would just make you sick at the end.
There's another movie that it sort of feels like it references, which is Heat. It's from the early 90s. And it's a Michael Mann film that is very much about bank robberies and these like large heist films. And I get that Michael Bay kind of always wanted to do that movie. He wanted to do that, right? But you look at a movie that he did like Pain and Gain, which was outside of the Transformers series. He was like, I'm gonna go do another movie, something that I want to do, and it stars The Rock and Mark Wahlberg. And it wasn't great, but it was better than anything he did with Transformers, and it was better than anything he did here. It showed the idea of paying attention to a story while also still implementing your own aesthetic and telling that story. Like, that's the balance, right? So it feels like somewhere along the way with this movie, the intensity overtook the story. That became the story. This endless necessity of, it's like another car chase, another drone shot, another this, and it was just too much. So all this to say, I didn't enjoy it.
It's not recommended.
I know that a lot of people did. I wouldn't recommend it. I think I wouldn't recommend paying to rent it. If you subscribe to a streaming platform that is like Netflix or Paramount Plus or wherever this movie may end up in the streaming world,
probably will.
I would watch it. I would watch it then, but I would not pay to see it. And a lot of people ripped on people for watching this movie and not going to theaters to see it. Yeah. And honestly, it's because of that. Like, I would have walked out way more upset than I did when I just watched it here and I rented it on my television.
Right.
And watched it. I put on the headphones, I killed the lights, I made it very movie-esque, and it still was intense. Right.
Yeah.
And I get it. Experiencing it on the big screen, that can go a long way. But that can also like really damage the experience where you're just walking out and just like, why? Like I feel like I wasted money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
and time.
And time.
Yeah.
And time. And I did that here as I rented it, but at least again, it wasn't the endeavor. It was here. You know what I mean? I made that decision to sit here and watch it. So it wasn't the idea like I'm getting excited to go see this movie in theaters. So that's why I say like these movies, you got to be critical about what you're seeing in theaters because it does really matter. So, How about you, Nate? What you been up to? What you been watching or reading?
I got a shout out for a movie that honestly, it's like I would not have expected to have watched it, and I sat down and watched it because I was bored. And either I've been in the house too long and just super bored, or like I legitimately enjoyed this movie. 2019 movie directed by James Bobbin, who is also the writer for The Muppets and The Muppets Most Wanted. And Justin, when I tell you that Dora and the Lost City of Gold is low-key a great movie, dude, honestly, I had such a fun time with it. It has a ton of self-referential humor. It makes fun of the original show. The characters, they don't overdo it as much as you'd expect for a kids movie. You'd expect the villain to be way too bombastic, and they weren't. And dude, they get high in it. I won't spoil too much, but they get high in this movie. Like they legitimately get high in this movie at one point, and it did so much more than I expected it to. There's like a very predictable but dope twist in the movie. And Isabella Merced, who plays Dora, carries the movie. She's super charming. She's also like very unknowingly socially awkward, and they do like a lot of sort of Drac style humor with that, where like there's a lot of stuff that just goes over her head because she's so innocent. And you gotta watch it, dude. It's fantastic. I'm telling you right now. It's like it's not a 4. Yeah, it's not a 4 out of 5. I gave it like a 3.5. But like, dude, I'm never terribly happy to see a movie do not good at the box office. Obviously, I want all movies to have success for those people that made them. But this was, the fact that it's just a one and done is perfect. Like I don't want them to do more. I don't want a DCU. I don't want a Dora cinematic universe.
Sure.
But dude, if you got a bunch of little ones with you, or you're just bored at home like I was, you got to watch Dora and the Lost City of Gold, dude. I think you might dig it. I don't know.
Oh, maybe I'll check it out. I'm interested.
Yeah, it's good
I always
stuff.
Take your recommendations, so
yeah,
I'll watch it.
Honestly,
cool.
It's a lot of fun. Nickelodeon at their best with their live action. Well, that is it. We hope you enjoyed This Week in Geek. And if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts on this week's news or any of the content we cover here, well, I'm going to send my consciousness over to my big blue avatar, Justin, to let you know how you can reach us.
Well, they can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or you can hit us up on Twitter at GeekcentricYT or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric.
I see you.
I see you.
I see you. That's what they say. Remember, Justin? And then we touch our braids together. Make love.
That's not my braid.
Oh, gosh. Oh, jeez. Maybe that's how they made the human kid. Okay.
There you go.
We also have a ton of other great episodes covering the latest in movies, TV shows, and games, including our recent spoiler-free and filled reviews and discussions for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We are incredibly blessed and lucky to have director Sam Raimi and screenwriter Michael Waldron join Justin and Kevin for an excellent interview where they ask them what they like to do to relax, and the answers are pretty great. So you definitely need to check out that interview both on YouTube as well as on podcast services. We also just wrapped our watch club for Marvel's Moon Knight and dropped our finale breakdown with special guest and friend of the show, Mike Smith from the Dumpster Talk podcast, as well as our resident comic book expert, Darcy Hudson. So go give all those episodes a listen and leave a 5-star review if you don't mind. But listen, we'll see you next week for This Week in Geek. Justin, Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. And as we say, I see you. No, love you.
Peace.